Well, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, but it was because I was so wired and excited over the commitment of Trey Eaglestaff to West Virginia. And we're going to learn a lot more about him on this episode. You don't want to miss this.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. This is Locked On West Virginia, where we talk Mountaineer hoops, man, Mountaineer basketball, Mountaineer football, women's. It doesn't matter. We love being a Mountaineer. We love being proud of being from the state of West Virginia. And today is one of those days. Going to be brought to you by Game Time, guys. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your very first purchase. Okay, guys. So last night was a big night. Obviously, 10:30 was a decision. Obviously, to drop that commitment at 10:30. So I've had time to do some research since then. I've turned to reach out to some people, email some people, get a hold of some people. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to get to know Treysen Eaglestaff a little bit better through somebody that knows him better than anybody. And that's his former high school coach and somebody he's really close with. Head coach at Bismarck High School, Coach Jordan Wilhelm. Man, how you doing, brother?
Doing well, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, great to have you, man. So give me your reaction. Obviously, you knew that Trey was in the portal. You knew that he was seeking a new place for home. I'm sure you were kind of anticipating, waiting to see where he was going to go, and you probably knew before most of us. But, you know, what's your reaction to all this, man? How are you taking it in?
It's been exciting. The whole experience. I mean, even dating back to when he was a sophomore and debating about entering the portal, and just my whole reaction on what this portal is all about and what I thought about what it meant to what I now understand about it, how much I've learned throughout this experience and how good it is really for the athlete. And, you know, when he calls me and lets me know that he's going to be decommitting, my first reaction is, you know, what's going on? What's the reason? You know, and for me, I'm just here to support him, and whatever he wants to do, I got his back. And when the first thing out of his mind is, I see myself at West Virginia, I think that could be a great home for me. I'm excited for him, you know, and the first thing I said to him is, well, I guess that's where I'm going to watch games next year. Like, I'm just excited for him. It's a great opportunity. It seems like a really good basketball fit. Yeah. With the new staff that just got brought in from North Texas. I think he does a great job. Actually, I'm a University of Mary alum here in Bismarck, North Dakota, and there's a player from Mary that played for Coach Hodge at North Texas a couple of years ago. So I got to follow the program a little bit after watching him go down there, and I know he's had success. So just excited to watch where this goes, and excited for Treysen and this opportunity for sure.
I think it says a lot about Coach Hodge and company. You know, Bill Forte, guys like that, they're just really good. You know, they've done a good job. I don't think many people expected with, and I don't know how much you followed the way Darren DeBreeze left West Virginia, but it was rough. You know, he did a lot with a very little, and they should have made the tournament. I think a lot of people know that, but you know, they got snubbed, whatever. But I think the last thing a lot of us expected was for him to leave and not say goodbye, not fly back with the players on the plane. Everything the way it was just so – it was really bad for us as a fan base, you know, to experience that. And so to flip this, get this guy named, you know, Ross Hodge that is a pretty much an unknown to a lot of – if you're not a basketball insider, especially at West Virginia, which is a top 20 job, right?
Yep.
You know, Bob Huggins made this into one of the best jobs in the country.
No doubt.
And so Ross Hodge steps in. And all of a sudden, he's absolutely crushing it in the portal to the point to where it's like overkill. We didn't expect it to get this good. And they've got one of the better guards in the portal on campus today that could still yet commit. You know, we're excited, man. But we're here to talk about Trey. And you have a lot of information about him, man. And what was he like? You know, I have some questions written out. Let me get to my first one here because it was pretty good. Okay. So obviously you're a Bismarck native. You played basketball at Bismarck High, correct? Under Steve Miller?
Yes, sir. Yep.
You were a 1,000-point scorer at the University of Mary. And now you're coach at your alma mater, man. So how does it feel to see a player like Trey, who you coached at BHS, commit to a Big 12 program like West Virginia? And what does this moment mean to you as a Bismarck guy?
It means a ton to us and to the community. And the cool thing about Treysen is he's someone that has worked for every single thing that has come to him. He's an absolute gym rat. He's someone that has put in the time. He's put in the work. I've told these stories over and over again on different shows and different podcasts and in different media outlets. Like, he's a kid that it didn't matter if we won the game or lost the game. Like, there were games that we beat the number one team in the state. He had dang near a quadruple double. He had a 52-point game against the number one team in the state, Century at the time. And he texts me immediately after the game, 6 a.m. tomorrow. Like, rather than enjoying the moment and pounding his chest and going out to, talk to girls and say, hey, did you see that 52-point game? The only thing on his mind is hoops. And 6 a.m. Yep, I got you. I'll be there at 6 a.m. to open the gym. Like, I told the story recently. He had 34 against the Bison of NDSU. Huge rivalry. North Dakota State, UND. NDSU comes up to Grand Forks, and I think he had 34 in that game in front of a couple NBA scouts. NDSU is a guy that has potential to get drafted. And Treysen absolutely lit it up at 34. They won the game. It was like a noon start. He calls me at 10 o'clock that night. Like, what would I be doing at 10 o'clock if I was him and just put up 34 in a game like that? Probably be different than what he was doing. He just got out of the gym, and he called me to ask about where my current athletes at Bismarck High are playing AAU, and what I can do to make sure that we're getting avenues for these kids to be playing the right AAU programs. Like, I'm just telling you, like, the kid,
that's crazy. Relationships
are super important to him. Fit is super important to him. Yeah, it's just all those things he's just an extremely high character kid. So, like, when he comes from Bismarck High, from our program, from our community in North Dakota, to see him doing special things like that, we're just so proud of him.
I think you kind of just answered my second question, because it was obviously he was North Dakota's Mr. Basketball in 22. He averaged 30 and basically 10, a double, which is pretty insane. First of all, were you surprised you didn't get more D1 love? And then can you, if that wasn't a good one you just shared, can you share a specific moment from that season that showed you Trey had the potential to be an unranked recruit that was going to be a D1 player someday?
So he did not play AAU prior to the senior year before he became a senior. And he got his first Division I offer from UND in February of his junior year. So he had a big sophomore year, and then coming into his junior year, I sat him down and I told him, you're the best player in North Dakota. And I said, we're going to do whatever we can to get you looks, because it's tough to get looks in North Dakota, other than from UND, NDSU, and the local D2s. There's just not a lot of exposure from North Dakota kids, especially if you don't play AAU. So I remember sitting him down, and I sent emails to basically every Division I program within a 2,000-mile radius, just saying, get this kid on your radar. And then he pulls his first offer in February of his junior year. Shortly after that, D1 Minnesota, which is the number one AAU program in the area here, offered him a spot on their top team. So then he goes to play D1 Minnesota with a lot of very talented kids. And he pulled a couple of offers within that first spring season. And then going into July before his senior year, he was picking up some big time follows, and he was starting to gain steam with, I think, some of the Power 4 and Power 5 schools. And he ended up kind of just getting antsy and getting excited, and just really saw himself in Grand Forks playing for UND. I think if he would have played through July before his senior year playing for D1 Minnesota, I think he would have pulled a lot more offers. Abilene Christian was the other one that was really interested. I saw you mention that last night in your pod.
Right.
So I think he would have pulled more offers, but Treysen graduated as a 17-year-old. He's a year younger than everyone else in his grade. I think the maturity that he gained playing for Paul Sather at UND, I think that was something that was really good for him, and to learn, to be a part of something bigger than yourself, and to go through some struggles as a freshman, and then getting the ball in his hands as a sophomore, and then moving into his junior season where he was the man. I think that process has been really good for him and really healthy for him. And now he's to a point where he is ready for this moment, and he's ready for what West Virginia is going to have to offer in playing at that level. I think it really worked out for the best, and things worked out for him.
Coach, everybody has critics, right? So what we're going to do is, on the other side of the break here, got a quick ad read we need to do. I'm going to have you address some of these, and something you mentioned when he was in high school. Want to get an update on that, guys, because there are people that say, Trey Eaglestaff can't play defense. We're going to address that next. Stick around. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by Supply House, guys. Get the supplies you need from the sites made for the skilled trades. Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical, Supply House is a reliable way to order products online, believe it or not. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, well, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, or a hard edge, as we like to say around here, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like dedicated phone lines, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, you can use promo code S-H-5 for 5% off your first order. Do it today at supplyhouse.com. And we know all about segment 2. Let's crack a do, man, and talk a little bit about these criticisms, Coach Wilhelm, and I'll tell you about it in just a second. So I heard you mention in an interview that, coming into, it may have been sophomore, junior, maybe senior, I don't know which one, but you mentioned that he knew he needed to work on his defense. He's 6'6" at about $180 now. At least that's what he's listed as. Do you have any concerns about how that translates to the Big 12? Literally, you can make a case it's the most physical league in the country, either there or the SEC for sure now. Do you think that he has work to do there? And how much has he grown since that? What you talked about in that interview? 2022?
Yeah, he's a kid that. I think what people have to understand is when he was being asked to shoot the ball 20 to 25 times a game for me and carry the load offensively while getting double and triple teamed every night and play 34 minutes a game in a system. We play a system where we're going to run and jump and we press and we play 12 guys and everyone's in and out and we play a fast pace and a fast tempo. When you're being asked to do that much offensively, you have to be able to save at times. And I think when you see the same thing with him at UND, like he was playing 35 to 40 minutes a game.
He was the only guy.
And he was being defended.
No offense to them.
Well, and what you saw is in that Alabama game when he got going, they guarded him with one guy. And that's why he went and had the type of game he had. Alabama came in and they said that we were going to guard him with one. And we're going to play him straight up. And that's when Treysen got going. And then he went to the Summit League during conference play, and all of a sudden he's getting guarded by 2 or 3 guys, and he's the number one guy on every single scout, and they're blitzing him and trapping him on every ball screen. And he was face guarded every single possession for every Summit League game all season long, playing 35 to 40 minutes a game, averaging 18. So like when you're being asked to do that, the toll that it takes on your body, and yeah, he's going to have a couple of duds here and there offensively, because when he's being defended like that, it's not easy. Now, to get to his defense, he is a very good on-ball defender. He's really solid laterally. His on-off stuff is really good if you look at the numbers.
Yes,
and he's very solid laterally. He does a really good job guarding the basketball. I think he's way stronger than he looks. He has, even from when I remember when he was a freshman in high school going against some of our seniors and some post-defense stuff, and he weighed probably 130 pounds then. Just the way he holds his ground, he has really natural strength. He's a grinder in the weight room too. I know he doesn't look the part. He's in the weight room every day. Every time he's back in Bismarck, he's grabbing my keys and going to the weight room at 10 o'clock at night and lifting and shooting. Like I said, that whole gym rat mentality is even crazier now than it was when he played for me. And I think when you see him on a court with other guys with like next level potential and true Division I, like Big 12 athletes, and he's getting one-on-one every night and he's not getting blitzed and face guarded, and he can focus a little bit more on the defensive side, I don't think it's going to be a problem for him personally.
I love that answer. And like I said, you look at some of the analytics, some of his off and on stuff are really good. So I think, I think it's just easy to say that a guy coming up from the Summit League is going to struggle. Like that's low hanging fruit for me.
Right.
Like you're just going to pick that because he played in the Summit League. He's coming to the Big 12. You saw Zeke Mayo do that at
Yep.
Kansas and struggle a little bit. And so people want to say that's why Kansas didn't want him, because Zeke Mayo didn't turn into the great player that everybody wanted last year at Kansas. I don't buy it personally. He's 6'6". He's got almost close to a 6'10", 6'11" wingspan.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a lot there. And if you look at some of his numbers, like he's got some shot blocking. He averaged up close to a steal and a half a game. So he plays passing lanes really well, like you said. He's obviously smart.
Yep.
So I do think he's going to translate. Now, is he going to be the defensive player of the year? I don't know.
Right.
But I mean, is he going to be deficient? I don't think so. And I've looked at it. I've looked at a lot of it. So probably 3 or 4 games anyway, what I've had time to watch. And I think he plays well enough, like you said, on defense. So personally, so that's just my opinion, but we'll see. And Ross Hodge is known for that anyway. Like, it's not like he's not the only guy they're going to have that can play defense, and they'll figure it out. They'll definitely figure it out.
And he's a coachable kid, and he wants to be pushed. And if Coach Hodge comes in and he's pushing Treysen and he's setting a certain expectation and setting the bar, Treysen's he's gonna match that bar. He's not gonna shy away from those things. He wants to be coached. He wants to be pushed, and he's gonna follow. Like, you have game plans to guard guys certain ways. He's going to follow those game plans, and he's smart enough to figure that stuff out.
One other thing I'll mention too is, no offense to North Dakota at all, but the level of, the staff, the nutrition, the weight room at West Virginia is going to be a lot better. I don't know how much of a difference that actually makes, because you said he's a gym rat, so maybe he was already working so hard that it's probably going to even out, but West Virginia can just financially, because what they have resource-wise, can offer more there, and maybe he'll get some extra gains from that at West Virginia this year, because they have invested heavily, like more than almost any other team in the Big 12, into what they do with their recovery and different things. So we've had a lot of guys, come there just because of that, and that's because Bob Huggins raised all the money for it.
Right.
So you've been coaching Bismarck since 2012. You took over head coach in 2014. And man, you've been successful there. How did your experience at adapting to a fast-paced pressure defense style that year influence how you coach Treysen? So, because you mentioned it, you guys play with 12, you play really fast. How did that influence how you coached a kid as talented as Treysen?
Yeah. So the very first year we put in our new system was when Treysen was a sophomore, and that was his first year playing varsity basketball. So Treysen, as a freshman, played freshman ball. He was a late bloomer. He needed some time to grow into his body. He was someone who was like an A-team type player, a top player, one of the better players in his grade, but wasn't quite ready for the show yet as a freshman. And then even before his sophomore year, he actually played second team for us all summer in our team camp stuff. And then before his sophomore year, he really made a jump. And I think that's when he really started to take hoops serious. And when he started to, it was every day in the gym, hours and hours a day. And coming into his sophomore year, that's when he made his leap. And it actually coincided perfectly with the new style that we put in. And
wow,
we play fast and we want to fire threes. We've led the state in scoring 6 straight years since we put it in. We've broken our school scoring record, I think, 7 different times. And the very first game that we put in the new system was Treysen's first game as a sophomore, first game playing varsity basketball. And coming into that game, we had him scheduled for 2 JV, 1 varsity. And he lit it up in the first half of the JV game. And I said, he's done. He's playing 2 varsity. And he played in that very first game in our new system where I think we scored like 118 points and broke our school record for scoring. And he hit like 3 or 4 threes in that game. And that was his coming out party, that it was like perfect style and system for him to just be aggressive and shoot when you're open and don't think, and attack downhill and get to the rack, shoot threes, draw fouls. Like our system is a very kind of a new style where we want to shoot threes and we want to get to the rack and we want to get to the line. So I think when he got that mentality that I don't have to think, and if I'm open, I'm going to shoot every time, it was good for him. And he had a couple of huge scoring outputs as a sophomore. He had a couple 30-point games that season, which was big for his confidence moving forward.
Did your wife challenge you to a race once? Your wife, Brittany, is a coach of the school along with yourself, and she challenged you to a race once, right? How did that go?
We were both college athletes. I played D2 here at the University of Mary. She played at Concordia Moorhead, and she was back in town, and we were shooting around on campus here at Mary, and she's fast. And I'm not. I'm not fast. I would say that I have good 5K to 10K speed. I do not have good burst. I was and still am standstill shooter, mid post kind of guy. I'm not a speedy guy.
That old man game.
That old man game, exactly.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
She challenged me to a race, and I said, all right, fine, we'll go down and back. And I had a bunch of my teammates there. There's probably 20 dudes in the gym.
That's great.
I'll be honest, I was nervous about it, but I took care of business that day. That's funny stuff, man. Hey, by the way, did you see Mania yet?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You watch it? I saw you mention last night you were trying to avoid spoilers.
I was, yeah. You know what, man? I enjoyed it. I don't know. I think a lot of people were disappointed with the end. But, right. Overall, I thought there were some really high-quality matches on the card, which I was excited to see. They had two. It was funny. I bet because I watch a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff and how they put matches together. Who I'd say the same person put both matches together that ended with somebody flying off the top rope and landed on both guys.
Right.
I think it was the Rhea Ripley match where that happened with the Queen of the Sky, and then the other one that happened with, and it was good though. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Let's go to break one more time, guys. On the other end, we'll put a bow on this episode. I want to thank Coach Wilhelm for joining us, guys. Stick around. We'll talk a little bit more about Coach Eaglestaff. Maybe someday. We'll be right back. All right, guys. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be also brought to you by Game Time. We talk about Game Time because it's one of my favorites around here, guys, and there's nothing like the atmosphere of a playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment does feel huge. It's electric in the arena, and with Game Time, you can be part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it a perfect fit, guys, and fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when the demand is high. So prices can actually go down as tip-off gets closer, which is why they have their last-minute deals, which can save you up to 60%. All-in pricing as a feature should also have toggled on because what you see is what you get, and that's what you're going to pay. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, though. So create the account and redeem the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your tickets today, guys. And download the Game Time app where you can get last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed, and ask yourself the question of questions. What time is it? It's game time. All right, guys, as we settle in here to segment 3, I want to thank Coach Wilhelm once again for coming on, man. This has been a fun time since 10:30 last night, at least Eastern time when this dropped. I'm assuming you knew a little bit ahead of time what was going to happen, and that's fair. So I guess what we can get into here is a little bit about the future, because I think West Virginia is building one heck of a roster right now. I mean, you've got, Millender's on campus today, Smurf Millender, who is a hard-nosed defender, great guard, shoots it at over 40%. That's, if he lands at West Virginia, I'm not saying he is or he won't. You've got him. You've got Trey, who I think with the lesser load, his three-point percentage is going to go up, and I can see him approaching 40% from three. You've obviously got Hunter Huff, the best three-point shooter that was in the portal, at over 43%. You've got Moore, who was close to 38%. You got Fields, who was at 35% from three, and Obioa, who's obviously a big, and then you got Brennan Lorient, who right around 32, 33%. Well, I mean, which is, you still got to guard somebody who can shoot it at that rate. What's he going to do with all those shooters around him? Because a lot of people don't realize Trey played a lot of point guard at North Dakota.
Yep. That's what I'm most excited to see, is when he gets around just very highly talented guys that can fill it up. And there was plenty of talented guys he had at UND, but
there was.
But you talk about next level talent and playing in the Big
this
12.
Is another step.
Yeah, and I think that he's a true 3-level scorer. He can score off the bounce. He can score in a catch and shoot situation. Like, he's legitimately his touch around the basket with both hands, his ability to shoot the mid range, and his ability to catch and shoot three or shoot it coming off of ball screens. And I think one of his most underrated traits as a player is how good he is as a passer. He's a guy that can draw to and kick. He's a guy that can throw lobs. He's someone that can push the pace if you want him to. If you want to play a half court style where you want to slow it up and be able to decipher what the defense is giving you, he's someone that can do that too. So I just think, with the experience that he had, he played only the point guard for me. So for 2 years, his junior and senior year, he had the ball in
How
his
tall
hands.
was he then?
He was 6'6" as a junior. So he was where he is
okay.
now as a junior. So
Yeah.
probably 6'4" as a sophomore, 6'6" by the time he's a junior. So he played the point for us, which was good experience for him with the ball in his hands. Early in his career at UND, mostly as a 2 guard. But now this year was tasked with bringing the ball a lot for them. So he was a 1-2 kind of combo guard. But I think
he play the 3? You think he'll be okay at the 3?
Yeah, I think that he could play anywhere in that 1-2-3 range. So wherever coach wants him to play. But what's nice about having multiple ball handlers and multiple guys that can put the ball in the basket is how are you going to guard guys? Like if you have multiple guys that can attack the paint and multiple guys that can stretch it,
that right now.
It's going to make it a deadly look. So I'm just so excited to watch it and so excited to see how much he can grow at this level. And anytime you see a Treysen Eaglestaff interview too, all he talks about is how he wants to fail. And he wants to go somewhere that's going to give him an opportunity to fail so he can learn and he can get better. And he wants to get at practice with these guys. He wants to be coached hard and he wants to get better. That's his number one goal. He's never a kid that pounds his chest, never a kid that talks about himself. It's how much can I learn and how much can I improve to make myself ready for the next level and to make this team better. So I think he's going to be a crowd favorite and someone that all of your listeners that are West Virginia, crazy West Virginia fans are going to be absolutely love what they see from this kid.
It strikes me how similar North Dakota and West Virginia are, right? There's no pro team in West Virginia. There's no other D1 team outside of West Virginia. Obviously, we have Marshall, but that's down one level to, the mid-major. I think there's some similarities here. And in one of my I'll ask a couple questions from over here in the chat. Josh wants to know, how often does North Dakota produce D1 talent, Coach?
So I would say most years, our senior class that we have coming through, I would say between 1 and 3. If you guys followed Alabama basketball at all, Grant Nelson.
We know about him. I do.
So Grant Nelson was a North Dakota kid, went to Devil's Lake, was a 2020 grad, went to North Dakota State for a couple of years, and then transferred to Alabama. It is unusual to see a kid play at the Power 5 level, though. Like to have Treysen do it now after Grant Nelson.
He gets a lot of comparisons to Grant Nelson, by the way.
Right. And I mean, I think they're
Which
different
may not
players.
Be fair to him, but
yeah, I Grant Nelson's more of like a 6'10" kind of forward.
Oh, yeah.
Probably doesn't shoot it like Treysen, but does a lot of the other things. I mean, but definitely a guy that you would compare, being North Dakota kids playing at a Power 5 now. But I would say between 1 and 3 a year, but to see a kid go to this level and play at this level, it's not very often. I do think that there are guys that are capable of it that kind of get overlooked. And now with the transfer portal being where it is, I think you're going to start seeing more of our top talent get opportunities because of that portal, which is, I love it as a North Dakota basketball fan because our kids are going to be able to get opportunities if they go to an NDSU or a UND and then have success from there.
So we got like 2 or 3 more. We'll ask him. We'll get out of here, guys. So Dylan wants to know, what's your favorite trait of Treysen?
My favorite trait is his hard work and his he's an absolute grinder, and the kid, how much he cares. And I think his best quality and his best trait is just how loyal he is, how much the people that are around him and support him, how much he's going to love on them. And that's why I think the West Virginia fans and the West Virginia faithful are going to like him so much, because if you pour love into Treysen, he's going to give it right back to you. And he's going to be a West Virginia, he's going to be all West Virginia for the rest of his life, and he's going to give back, and he's going to be someone that cares about it for sure.
What would you say is the part of his game that he has the most to work on making the jump to the Big 12?
So you mentioned his defense. I think he needs to become a better rebounder, and I've said that to him
part
before.
Of defense. Say it every week on the show.
Yeah, I think he's someone that he's going to be locked in as far as like when a shot goes up, taking care of his guy, not getting rebounds. But what I'd like to see him do is really attack and go do a better job attacking rebounds and high pointing them and making a point that I'm going to go pull down 4 or 5 boards, because I think he's capable of it. He's strong enough to do it. He's athletic enough to do it. So that's really where I'd like to see him make the biggest jump, is on the glass.
Do you teach inside and opposite like Hugs did?
What's that?
Do you teach it inside and opposite like Hugs did?
100%, man.
Yeah. Raven wants to know, are there any up-and-coming players we need to keep an eye on? North Dakota.
From North Dakota?
Yeah.
I actually have a freshman right now at Bismarck High. Kalik Austin is his name. Very, very special talent. He averaged 14 a game for me this year as a freshman. Treysen's records he has at Bismarck High, he's got about 9 of them. They're all going to be in trouble if this kid kind of keeps up where he's going. I don't know about single season records, but as far as career records, because Treysen has single game, single season, career, all of our scoring records, 3-point records, you name it. Very, very special talent I have as a freshman. Kalik Austin coming up, I think, is someone going to be to keep an eye on because I think he has Power 5 potential.
We'll get to 2 more because these guys are really loyal to me. Is that okay with you, Coach?
You bet, man.
Okay. Thank you very much. Down there with Kenny, who's been with me for years. How is helping teammates grow with him as a leader?
How is he with helping teammates grow with him as a leader? Hey, I'm telling you, like I said, he had a couple duds this year in Summit League play. And I think I've watched probably about 90% of his college games. The only time I miss one is if we have a game the same night. And most of those times I'm going back and watching. And I really like watching his body language and how he handles himself when he's not having an on-night shooting. And I think if you look across the landscape of basketball at the high school level, the college level, the pro level, when guys aren't making shots, they tend to pout and hang their head and become poor teammates. He was the opposite of that. He had a night this year against St. Thomas where he wasn't scoring, and they were down 10 with 4.5 to go, and he was the first one leading guys into the huddle, the primary voice in the huddles, never once hangs his head, always has his head up. He's not going to pout. He might beat himself up a little bit once in a while because he wants to do better, but he's never going to be someone that pouts and hangs his head and has bad body language on the bench or on the court. So I think that is something he's really grown and matured from the last couple of years.
And then lastly, Nathan Scott, who's another very loyal member. Do you see Trey playing point guard for West Virginia?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think he can play the point. I think he can play off the ball. He can be a 1, 2, or a 3. I think his best fit would be as like a combo, like where he can bring the basketball in a rebound situation if you want to run the break with him. Yeah. But also if you want to get him off the ball and you want to set down screens for him and run him off.
I like him off the ball too.
I think that's where his more natural fit is coming off the screens and reading screens and popping and curling and doing some of that action. But if you need him to be a primary and you need him to bring the ball, I think he's very capable of that as well.
Awesome, man. Just this one made me laugh. Dylan said height, weight, government name, dominant hand, birthplace.
I could pretty much give you all of it, man.
I'm sure you could, yeah. Oh, well, we should ask the Eaglestaff question. So obviously, and at the risk of sounding dumb, because there could be a simple answer to this, that's just the way they're born as Native Americans. By the way, for those of you who don't know, he is Native American, correct? And so the name Eaglestaff, does it have any special meaning, or how does that work?
I don't know if it has any special meaning. I do know it's something that's he's very serious about. His uncle Bob is one of the all-time leading scorers in North Dakota history. He has the single game scoring record at like 67 that Treysen wanted to take down when he was in high school. Don't
sleep on Bob Eaglestaff.
Bob Eaglestaff, yeah. And his tradition runs deep at UND, so that was a major reason why he wanted to go to UND. He's a member of the Cheyenne River tribe, I believe, in South Dakota. His dad was born in South Dakota. It's something that's very serious to him. He takes it very seriously. His culture and his tradition and his history is something that he likes to stand for, and he likes to represent his people. So definitely very cool part of his story is being Native American and part of his culture and his history. And also at Bismarck High, in my 10 years as a head coach, I've had a Native American in my starting lineup. Every single season. It's something that it's a part of our culture and our history and our tradition at Bismarck High as well. So we're really proud of Treysen and also where he comes from and what he represents. And it's a huge part of him.
Bismarck High, powerhouse.
Yeah.
Do you have any, do you ever want to get in the college game, or is that ever something you thought about?
I've entertained the idea. Honestly, it's
a whole uprooting. Obviously.
It is. And like our University of Mary job opened up this year, and I went back and forth about, the idea of making a run at it or trying to put my name in the hat, and had conversations with different community members and have thought about it. But, I have 2 young boys. I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I'm really happy where I'm at. I love Bismarck High. I love, and honestly, I like teaching. Like I still like being in the classroom and being around, doing some of that. So it's definitely something I've thought of, but I honestly think if you don't go at it from a young age where you're a GA and trying to grind your way up and meet people and do things, it's a really difficult thing to get into. I appreciate the question, but definitely something that I've entertained, but I'm pretty happy where I'm at right now.
Okay, man. Well, last thing I'm going to mention, because it made me laugh. I'm all about laughing on here. My niece and nephew, we have country accents around here, and They call me Uncle Bub, right? Because my whole family calls me Bub. So somebody put Uncle Bob and Uncle Bub.
Uncle Bob and Uncle Bub. Let's go, man.
Let's roll, man.
I love it.
I'm gonna get a shirt that says that. Uncle Bob and Uncle Bub.
Uncle Bob and Uncle Bub.
That's crazy, man. Bro, I appreciate you for coming on, man. It's been a fun interview. We obviously all love Treysen already. Wishing him the very best, and we're going to be, to say the least, pulling for him super hard just for selfish reasons, and I'm already starting to really like the kid. So
yeah, man.
We'll definitely keep in contact with you throughout, and who knows, man, maybe we'll bring you on to get a progress check at some point during the year or something like that. Maybe they start out 10-0. We'll have you on to get your thoughts or anything like
That'd
that.
Be awesome. You know? Hey, you let me know, man. Anything you need. I appreciate what you do promoting, and I had never heard of you prior. I saw that you posted last night, and I followed you right away and jumped on and saw your video from last night. And when I saw you had reached out to email, I was pretty excited to get on and just talk hoops and talk Treysen. Like I said, I could talk about Treysen as long as you'd want to talk about him, because he's a great kid, and I think you guys are going to be pretty excited watching him. I think he's going to be a huge part of what you have going on, and I'm looking forward to it, man.
I'm excited about it. This roster, man. Guys, Smurf Millender is on campus. We were going to talk a little bit more about that, but we went a little long here, so we're going to go ahead and cut it short now. But just so you guys know, I will update you guys. I'll have to text Smurf and see what's going on. We'll see if he can answer. He's probably really busy, so we may not get an update today, but we will let you know as things progress with that. Like I said, Coach Wilhelm, thanks for coming on. If you could stay for 30 seconds after we end the video, I would appreciate that, guys, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your very first listen, guys, and for being part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team every single day. But if you could do me one more favor, it would be great if you could check out your second listen with the Locked On NFL Draft with Damian Parson and Keith Sanchez. Your favorite collegiate players get ready for the next level, and you can get the latest draft rankings, rumors, and news every day. And all you have to do is find Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. For Coach Wilhelm, for myself, we're out of here, guys. Have a great rest of your week.